Hello guys, today we are going to show you by TBT watches how to change the battery on this JF watch model number 31938. As you can see, the digital part of this watch is working. We'll need to change the analog battery responsible for the analog part, which is pretty difficult because you need to get underneath of the digital part, and for that purpose you'll need to pretty much disassemble the whole watch. So before we are going to remove the pin to get to the back of this watch easier, we remove the pin from here. It's a spring pin like that, so we opened it up because in this case we normally wouldn't do it if we had to change only the battery, which is responsible for the digital part, because that would be much easier process than this one, and you will see it now. So we'll locate the space that is going to help us to open the back of this watch, and it is right in here. So once we get our flathead screwdriver a little bit underneath of the back of this watch, we're gonna help ourselves with the hammer a little bit. You gotta do it gently so you don't damage the rubber that is right. Oh, it doesn't even have a rubber, so apparently sometimes when somebody else changes the battery they just remove it for some reason. We don't, we keep it on because that's how the watch came. So this is the battery for digital part, and there is another battery underneath which is responsible for the analog part. However, we'll see it now the way how it's designed. Normally on a normal watches there is one battery which is responsible for most of the watches, brand names. When you take any screw, make sure you don't lose anything, please. Right, so let's put our sun back, stay, right? So then next step is to, in this case, we have to remove all this board and get to the second machine which is underneath of this board, and that's how we're gonna do it. We use the flathead screwdriver, the smaller one, even though the screws are the Phillips screws. Doesn't really matter, because if there is a strong necessity we will find the correct screwdriver. However, in this case we can see that it's not a big deal, it's gonna open, so we do it. And it's actually kind of like easier from our experience to operate with the flathead screwdriver and the Phillips screws, unless you damage the screw. You know, if you damage the screw, if you see that there is a huge force needed to open it or something, then just don't do it, just use the right screwdriver. All right, so open the screws. Okay, there is one plastic holder which was going around this thing, and then there are small metal pieces right here. Oh god, you gotta be really careful with this back so you don't lose anything. There you go, we got it out. Okay, so there is one small metal piece which is pressing the button, stayed on the disassembled part. Actually look like disassembled. Okay, now we're gonna remove this whole board. Be careful with that too, so don't break it. Now we just got to the battery that we need to replace, and this battery is, I'm gonna place this one back. So once we put everything together, this piece is going to cut short the board with the button, and it's going to create an effect on the pressing the button, meaning the button is going to operate. So this is the battery we need to replace, and this is a regular battery 626 or 377 that comes on most of the watches. And we are installing the Maxell brand batteries. .626 or 377. Maxell is a Japanese company that produces the batteries for watches, and for 10 years we have never seen any problems with them. Right, you can see the watch is sticking already, so we're just gonna close it and then show it again to you, because right now it is disassembled, so we don't want to just flip it over and lose parts. We would not suggest you doing that too, so look at it gently from the angle that is more safe, not to have the other parts of the watch falling from their places. Right, so this part goes right here. Try, if you do it by yourself, try to be super careful with everything, not to lose any parts, not to mess up with the assembly of right here of the parts back. So if you see that there is any kinds of force necessary, just watch out for that, because no force should be the primary necessity at the first place. So just be careful on doing anything in order not to break or lose anything or damage anything. Right, so that's how we got there. Everything is on its place. Now we're gonna place the old battery back for digital part, because it was working, as we remember. We did not need to change it because that wasn't required by our customer. It's just required to change the batteries which are not operating well, or not operating at all, I'm sorry. So that's it. The watch is assembled, only the back of the watch stayed unassembled. We are going to work on that, but we need to show you that everything is as we say. Analog part is working, digital part is operating too. And now we're gonna be installing the back of this watch right on its place. Alright, so we just squeezed it in. It's good, pressed, nice. So we're gonna put we'll make sure again, because usually it's good to double check always. So this is the pin that we replaced initially. It's supposed to go back to the lock part of this watch. There you go. And now we're gonna set the time on an analog part. Right now is at 4 p.m. And usually we have to find our ways around with the watches which are not. Oh, that was for the alarm apparently. Yeah, now we're gonna have to do the minutes. That was for the alarm before, so disregard that. So the date 26. And month 11, date Sunday. Alright. And we need to put hour 4 p.m. No, we went to the 24-hour setting for some reason. Okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, finish. Alright, it's set, working. It's the date, and now we're gonna set the analog part to the same time, but you can actually set it to a different time zone and have both running in an unsynchronized manner, because as we could see, the watch has two different mechanisms which are controlling two different parts of the watch, the digital and analog. Thus, so to speak, was the process of changing battery on this JF 31938 model. And